So welcome to MLT online classes. In this lecture, we are going to discuss about subcutaneous mycosis, which is your second fungal infection. So before that, let us do a quick review of previous topic. In the last lecture, we discussed about dermatophytes. So in dermatophytes, we have what is dermatophytes? These are superficial mycosis in which we have two types: surface infection and cutaneous infection. So dermatophytes belongs to the cutaneous infections. That means they will infect the cutaneous layer of the skin and they will form nodules and inflammatory reactions upon infection. So these dermatophytes infections are also called as ringworm infections. Ringworm means it is not parasitic but it is a fungal infection. So here dermatophytal infections are classified into two types depending upon their genus and depending upon their habitat. So depending upon the genus, these dermatophytal infections are of three types. They are trichophyton infection, trichophyton species, microsporum species, and epidermophyton species. And depending upon their habitat, these are of three types: anthrophilic, which infects the mans; zoophilic, which infects the animals; and geophilic, which present in the soil. So depending upon these two, we categorize them. So let us see depending upon the genus. So depending upon genus, we have Trichophyton, Microsporum, Epidermophyton species. So in Trichophyton, we have T. rubrum, T. mentagrophytes, T. sponielli, T. vilosum, and T. verrucosum. Whereas in Microsporum, we have Microsporum gypsum, Microsporum canis, Microsporum ordini. And in Epidermophyton, we have Epidermophyton flocosum. So as we already saw, these dermatophytes will cause these five types of clinical infections. So first one is Tinea capitis, which is a ringworm infection to the hair of the scalp. So this is how your Tinea capitis looks like. Then we discussed the favus. So favus means it is a green colored fungal growth on the hair, on the scalp. Then Tinea corporis, so it is an infection on the non-hairy part of the skin. So this is Tinea corporis. Then we have ectothrix. So this is your ectothrix, which is a fungal infection on the hair shaft. Ectothrix means it will come on the periphery of the hair shaft, whereas endothrix will be on the surface of the hair shaft. So these are the dermatophytal infections. Coming to today's lecture, in this today's lecture, we are going to discuss about subcutaneous mycosis. That means subcutaneous fungal infections. So these subcutaneous mycosis, we have four types. So first one is mycetoma. So mycetoma means this one, which is a infection to the foot that will result in generation of nodules. So mycetoma I will discuss in detail in a entirely new lecture. So in this lecture I will focus on chromomycosis. So your second subcutaneous infection is chromomycosis. So this is your chromomycosis where you will see sclerotic bodies and you will see cauliflower-like structures on the skin. So this is chromomycosis. Then you have sporotrichosis. So spore-like structures will be present on the limbs. So this is your sporotrichosis. Then your rhinosporodiosis. So rhinosporodiosis means it is an infection to the rim of the nose. So rhine means nose in Greek. So these are the fungal infection which will come to the nose. So that is why they are called as rhinosporodiosis, fungal infection to the nose. Okay. So these are the four types of fungal infections. What are those? The four types of subcutaneous fungal infections. First one is mycetoma and chromomycosis, sporotrichosis, and rhinosporodiosis. So first let us see chromomycosis in detail. So chromomycosis. So chromomycosis is a chronic localized infection of skin on subcutaneous tissue. The fungal enter through a wound. So this is how your chromomycosis looks like. So in chromomycosis, it is occurred by a fungus called Fonsesia pedrosi and Fonsesia compactum. So these are the two fungi which are responsible for chromomycosis. So chromomycosis is a chronic localized infection to the skin, and the etiological agents are Fonsesia pedrosi and Fonsesia compactum. So this disease is more common in tropical and subtropical countries. The term chromomycosis includes chromoblastomycosis and other infections caused by dementia fungi. So this chromoblastom, there are other similar infections in this disease. Other one is chromoblastomycosis. So this is chromoblastomycosis. So which is a severe form of chromomycosis, and they will form your cauliflower like resemblance of nodules over the skin of limbs, both the hands and legs. So the lesions appear as a warty cutaneous nodules which resemble the florets of cauliflower. So pheohypomycosis may affect cutaneous, subcutaneous, and deeper tissues or organs like brain or lungs. So there is one more species in this genera, which is pheohypomycosis. This pheohypomycosis even spread into internal organelles. So these are the infections present in chromomycosis. So what are the two main fungus present in chromomycosis means Poinsettia petrosi and Poinsettia compactum. Other than this, you have chromoblastomycosis, which is a severe form of chromomycosis, or it is also called pheohypomycosis. Okay. Then laboratory diagnosis of chromomycosis. So in laboratory diagnosis, we will go for biopsy. A small biopsy will be taken from the skin and we will observe under the microscope. So before observing, we will perform H&E staining. So in H&E staining, we will see a very specific bodies called sclerotic bodies in chromomycosis. So presence of sclerotic bodies is a highly characteristic feature of this chromomycosis infection. So this sclerotic bodies resembles like this. So they are the original photos of sclerotic bodies. So these are the sclerotic bodies which are yeast cells with hyphal structures. So these sclerotic bodies can be demonstrated by either KOH and by culture on SDA. So and the treatment for your chromomycosis is amphotericin B and 5-fluorocytosine have been useful for this fungal infection. So for chromomycosis, we can use either amphotericin B or 5-fluorocytosine as a good drug of choice. So this is all about your chromomycosis. Next, let us see about sporotrichosis, which is your third fungal infection in subcutaneous mycosis. So sporotrichosis means this is how your sporotrichosis looks like. So sporotrichosis is a nodular ulcerating disease of skin and subcutaneous tissue. It usually affects hands and forearms. This fungus gains access through thorn picks. Actually, this sporotrichosis is first observed in the gardeners. So the people who will do this gardening, the one who will cut the branches of the trees, so they used to get this particular infection because this fungus is present in the thorns of those thorns of that plants. Say for example, your rose flower have those tiny needles, right? From the thorns we will get this infection. So that is why this they are saying that this fungus gains access through thorn pricks or some injuries. It is more common in gardeners and farmers. So the fungus spreads through the lymphatics up to the regional lymph nodes and rarely beyond that. This disease is worldwide, even though more common in USA. So after entering into our body, this fungus will start spreading through the lymphatic vessels in our body. So it will start spreading into the lymphatic vessels. So that is how he got his whole lymphatic vessels in this pathway has got infected by sporotrichosis infection. So it is caused by a fungus called Sporothrix kenki. So Sporothrix kenki is the fungus which is responsible for forming sporotrichosis disease. So what is the laboratory diagnosis for sporotrichosis? So one of the interesting thing about sporotrichosis is the unique feature of sporotrichosis infection, which is your Sporothrix kenki, is it is a dimorphic fungus. I think we already discussed about dimorphic fungus. So dimorphic fungus is the class of fungus which will show both the yeast morphology and yeast stage and your hyphal stage depending upon the temperature. At body temperature, that means at 37 degrees centigrade, it will show yeast forms, and at room temperature, that means less than 37 degrees centigrade, it will show hyphal form. So it is a dimorphic fungus. So what we have to do is we need to cultivate this fungus in HDA in two temperatures. First, we need to cultivate it in 37 degrees centigrade, and we also need to cultivate it in, incubate it in room temperature, that means around 25 to 28 degrees centigrade, so that we will see two types of morphology in this fungus. So diagnosis is made by culture, as the fungus may not be demonstrable in pus or tissues. So Sporothrix kenki occurs in yeast phase in tissues and in cultures at a 37 degree, and in mycelial phase in 27 to 25 degrees centigrade. So that is why it is called dimorphic fungi. So yeast phase appears as a cigar-shaped cells and molds from containing hyphae carrying flower-like clusters of small Conidia bonon delicate sterigmata. So you will see floret-like structures in mold stage. So in mold stage, you will see this flower-like clusters of Conidia in mold stage, whereas in yeast phase, you will see cigar-shaped cells. So these are the identifying characteristic features of your Sporothrix kenki. So it is a dimorphic fungus. That means it has both yeast form and mycelial form. In mycelial form, you will see flower-like structures, whereas in yeast form, you will see cigar-shaped cells. So this is all about your sporotrichosis. And last and final subcutaneous infection is your rhinosporodiasis. As I already stated, rhine means nose. So the nose, this one is called as rhine in Greek. So this is a fungal infection which will occur to the nose. So this is your rhinosporodiasis. So rhinosporodiasis is a chronic granulomatous disease characterized by formation of fibril polyps, fibril polyps usually confined to the nose, mouth or eye and rarely seen in mucous membranes. So these are the fibril nodules that will present in nose and eyes, even rarely under mucous membranes. So what is the positive agent of rhinosporodiasis means? The fungus that is responsible for rhinosporodiasis is Rhinosporidium seaberi. So Rhinosporidium seaberi is the fungus which is responsible for rhinosporodiasis. So more than 80% cases are reported in India and Sri Lanka. So almost, if you see the statistics, almost 80% cases are from India and Sri Lanka around worldwide. So the mode of infection is still we don't know how this infection is acquired to humans, but they are saying that this infection is acquired by stagnant water or aquatic life. Through aquatic medium, this fungus infection may be transmitting to humans. So that is what they are saying. And one important thing about rhinosporodiasis is it is a non-cultivable fungus. That means we cannot culture this fungus in a SDA medium. We cannot grow this in saprous, dextrose, agar medium. So that is why what we have to do is we need to take the biopsy of that sample and we need to go for tissue sectioning. So in tissue sectioning, we will go for H&E staining and we will observe under the microscope. So in microscope, you will see this particular structure. So you will see sporangium, and within the sporangium, you will see sporangiospores. So in laboratory diagnosis, in H&E staining, you will see sporangia embedded with stroma and connective tissue and capillaries. So this structure will be seen under microscope in rhinosporodiasis. So presence of this indicates it is a rhinosporodiasis infection or rhinosporodiasis seaberi. Rhinosporidium seaberi is the positive fungus responsible for rhinosporodiasis. So this is all about your subcutaneous mycosis. And in the next lecture, we will see about mycetoma. So a quick review of today's lecture. So in subcutaneous mycosis, we have 4 types: mycetoma, chromomycosis, sporotrichosis, and rhinosporodiasis. So first, chromomycosis. Chromomycosis is a nodular, warty, cutaneous, cauliflower-like resembling structures on the skin and cutaneous infection. Then sporotrichosis is a these are nodules which will present on the lymphatic vessels, which is seen mostly in farmers, and rhinosporodiasis, which is an infection to the nose and eye. So in chromomycosis, you will see sclerotic bodies. So presence of sclerotic bodies is the identification feature for laboratory diagnosis. So what are the agents of chromomycosis? Poinsettia petrosi and Poinsettia compactum. Then coming to your laboratory diagnosis, we already know sclerotic bodies are present. Then sporotrichosis. Sporotrichosis is also called gardener's disease because this is mostly seen in gardeners and farms, and it is most common in USA. And it is a dimorphic fungus, which is it is caused by a fungus called Sporothrix kenki. So this is a dimorphic fungi. In mycelial form, at room temperature, you will see flower-like structures, whereas in a body temperature, that means at 37 degrees centigrade, you will see cigar-shaped yeast cells. So since it is a dimorphic, you will see both the morphologies. Then rhinosporodiasis. Rhinosporodiasis is caused by Rhinosporidium sebri, which is 80% of the cases are from India and Sri Lanka. So this is categorized by presence of nodules in the nose, eye, and sometimes in mucous membranes also. So the characteristic feature is it cannot be cultivated in SDA medium. So directly we will take the biopsy and we will go for H&E staining, and you will see sporangiosپores and along with the connective tissue and blood vessels within the sporangium. So this is the identification feature for your rhinosporidiosis. Okay. So in the next lecture we will see about mycetoma. So thank you, students.